You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host, Keith Angle, on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Angle for TGI Sports Talk. Still the only live streaming sports talk show from East Greenbush, New York, where it's a little gloomy. It's been kind of a gloomy, wintry weekend. No snow, but just that gloom. You know what it is in January and February here, even when it doesn't snow. So those of you that are in a warmer incline, congratulations. Kind of a crazy week around, but, fortunately we've got sports to fall back on to make it even crazier sometimes. But it is a distraction from the real world. Thank God. Before I get started, I want to just touch base with some of the groups that I share content to. Obviously, with the season starting to overlap now. Good morning, Rick. Sherlock, how are you? With the season starting to overlap a lot, I want to get on more topics. So I guarantee you, if you're getting this shared to your group, there will be content relevant to you. If you want to fast forward through the other stuff, that's your call. But we try to keep some good content. And again, if it's in your group, there'll be some content. If the admins have any issues, please reach out to me. But you guys have been instrumental in the success of the show. And I think we're sharing some very good content with you guys, depending on the day. Had a great interview with Hal McCoy, former beat writer for the Dayton Daily News, and covered the Cincinnati Reds for 50 years. Still covering the Cincinnati Reds actually now, at least their home games. And great conversation with Hal. He's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's a Spinks Award winner. We talked a lot about the Big Red Machine and Pete Rose and a lot of different stuff. So catch that interview if you haven't yet. It's really, I think, some interest. We had some issues getting Hal in the room, so bear with the first 20 minutes of the show. It's me kind of trying to stretch and send Hal emails at the same time. We decided to just do it by phone. So anyway, no guests today, so no glitches this morning. We welcome all of you that will be with us live. I know a lot of you are in and out on a Sunday morning. We got a lot to cover today. I want to talk about the playoff games yesterday, today's games. We're going to talk about the college football championship game Monday a little bit. We're going to talk about the Mets and the Lindor trade and some other things going on in Major League Baseball, and a little bit about the NBA. The Knicks off to a good start, 5-4, but we'll talk more about that as we go along here. So let's dive into yesterday's games. Great weekend of football. 3 football games yesterday. Maybe not for our wives. It depends if your wife's a football fan. My wife is, but 12 hours of it is not necessarily her thing. But for us football fanatics, it's great to have 12 hours of football on Saturday and Sunday. Wild card weekend. The expanded playoffs brought us 3 games on each day. Yesterday was an interesting day, guys. I've got some takeaways from each game. We'll talk about. We can, you want to bring up your comments. We'll certainly discuss any points you guys want to talk about. As you know, I don't always agree with your guys' comments, but they're always welcome. And understand that my feedback is simply that. All good-natured, all my opinion. I don't pretend to know anything more than anybody else, and less than some. We started out the day yesterday at 1 o'clock with the Bills and the Colts. Bills in the playoffs for the first, they've been in the playoffs. Bills looking for their first playoff win, 25 years, playing the Colts. The Colts, who I have not believed in all year, but still managed to finish the season 11-5 with Phillip Rivers at quarterback. It was a good game. The Bills kind of started to pull away. I believe they were up by 14 in the second half, and the Colts started to make a run. The Bills didn't put them away when they had some chances. I guess the takeaways I've got from this game, I mean, as we got towards the end of the game, Frank Reich not even towards the end of the game. It was, a lot of time left. Frank Reich makes some interesting choices. They closed the gap to 24-16. So it was 24-10. They scored a touchdown with about 13 minutes left. And Frank Reich, for the life of me, I don't understand this, decides to go for 2. Now, you can say, well, he's on the road. He's looking to put himself in a position to win the game on the next possession. But if you miss it, you just leave yourself in a position of having to go for 2. I don't understand it. We'll get to the 2-minute drill for sure, Rick. It's another one of my takeaways yesterday. But the first bonehead move by Frank Reich, who overall, I guess, has been a pretty good coach. They've had decent records. They've been in the playoffs. But he goes for 2 down. It's 24-16. You kick an extra point there, and you're down 7, a touchdown with 13 minutes left. Now, it turns out it didn't really affect the game because they did come down and score and get the 2 points later on after Buffalo had kicked the field goal. So they were only down 3 points, as it turned out. So that play doesn't really affect the game, but it could have. I'm telling you, that is a bonehead move. And these guys supposedly got their little card in front of them that tells them when to go for it. Well, you know what? Maybe they should just pay attention to the game situation and have some feel for what's going on and throw those cards away, because for the most part, they're ridiculous. I see coaches chasing points way too often. Unless your strategy is to go for 2 every time, well, because actually the statistics bear out that if you go for 2 every single time, you'll actually score more points than if you go for 1 every single time. By that much. But that's with the extra point, and I'll push back. Anyway, that's bonehead play number 1. Now we get to Rick's point. The Colts get the ball back, I think, with no timeouts, 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. So they got the 2-minute warning. They get the ball back on their own 14. In 2 minutes and 30 seconds, they managed to go 38 yards. In 2 minutes and 30 seconds, 38 yards. All they need to do is get to the 35 to have a chance for a game time field goal. The Bills 35. They get to the Bills 47. Horrible time management, horrible play calling. Rick thinks it's the worst that he's seen in 50 years of watching. I don't know if I'll go that far, but it's pretty damn close. Because more happened at the end of this game. I mean, the Bills won this game. They didn't have any help. Again, you know me, and I say don't put yourself in a position to let the referees screw you in one of these games. If you get beat because of a referee's call, well, then shame on you. You shouldn't have been in that position. But now I see one of the worst calls I've ever seen. I mean, we all go back to the New Orleans Rams championship game a couple years ago. And the pass interference that wasn't. But I got to tell you, so the Colts are trying to move the ball, and they get, I believe, a 17-yard pass to Pasquale, I think, was the receiver. He catches the ball and goes down. Nobody touches him. Now, there's guys around him. I guess trying to get the extra yardage there is not a bad idea. But as he gets up, and that's debatable. If he stayed down, they still got plenty of time on the clock. I mean, he still had 28 seconds, I believe, after that play. After some horrible time management, horrible play calling. But he tries to get up. And as he gets up, nobody's touched him. He's on his feet. The ball gets punched out, and the Bills recover. Now the play on the the call on the field rather was that he was down. Guys, I watched that thing 100 times. he was up off the ground, no indisputable evidence that he was still on the ground, or there's nothing there that says you should not overturn that call. To me, it was pretty obvious. He'd gotten to his feet without being touched. They had 17 angles on that play. Anyway, it's a horrible play call. It's a horrible referee's call, but again, fortunately, it doesn't affect the end of the game. And my opinion, if you're a Bills fan and you had lost because of that, be quiet, because you should have not left yourself in that position. So anyway, with 28 seconds left, you still got plenty of time. They've only got to go 10 yards, right? 10, 12 yards. Well, they'd gotten a pass, actually, a completed pass, almost 10 yards before the Bills called a great timeout. McDermott did a great job. I'm not sure that he got the timeout in time, but it's very hard to see that. So I'm going to have to go with the referees and say they did the right thing there. They stopped play. The whistle blew, and Rivers was dropping back. And he completes a pass, and the guy doesn't get out of bounds, so they're going to lose a lot of time there anyway. But it turned out they had the review, and that time went back on the clock. Now after that, he throws three passes. I guess he threw one short pass that was completed. Then he throws two passes that are just uncatchable. I don't know what you're thinking about. 28 seconds left. You can go over the middle. You got plenty of time, unless Phillip Rivers can't drag his old body down the field in time to spike the football. You got to go 15 yards, 12 yards, get up, spike the ball, and try to kick a field goal. But he throws two sideline routes that had no chance. Buffalo, I don't know, Buffalo, it's odd to me that those plays didn't have. You'd think the Buffalo would be protecting over the middle. I would have thought. But again, they must have known the Colts were going to go outside and try to stop the clock. You don't necessarily have to. You only need a field goal. So anyway, two uncatchable balls. And then they got to throw a Hail Mary from the 50. Guys, Phillip Rivers is... I shouldn't say this. I'm 60 years old, and I don't think I can throw the ball 20 yards right now. Maybe I can. I don't know. I'm not going to try because I know I'll hurt myself. He couldn't reach the end zone. They should have put Brissett in there to throw the Watson. You got Keith going early today. Too early. Keith's a little worked up. He likes to look at it. It's just passion, Billy. It's not anger. I get passionate about stuff. Good morning, Bill Pulver. Happy birthday yesterday, by the way. Hope you had fun somehow. Anyway, he can't reach the end zone, and the game would have been over, most likely. Horrible play calling. Horrible, some horrible coaching. Not even good refereeing. The referees tried hard to blow it for the Bills. But, so again, first playoff win in 25 years for the Bills. Good for them. They had 6,200 fans in attendance. I'm still not sure about that whole thing, and I don't want to get into too deep down this rabbit hole. But 6,200 fans away. I understand 160 people tested positive as they tried to get in. These rapid tests, and these are more rapid tests than anything you go to a hospital and get that I'm aware of. I know somebody had one recently, and we had to wait hours to get it while they're in the hospital. So a rapid test. So they were testing these people on the spot. I'm not sure how that all works, and I don't really, not going to get into it too much. Billy's funny. Are we talking about the Bucks? Bill, anybody who talks about any one subject as much that is not real as much as you do worries me. I think I told you that yesterday. I don't want to repeat myself. Anyway, I want to continue what I'm talking about here. We're going to have a nice Patriot tie-in later, by the way. I get to talk about the Patriots and Bill Belichick during the playoffs. It had the surprise twist ending. Where was I going for here? 6,200 fans, and it made it in, I guess. And now I don't know how they. All the COVID fans were isolated in the end zone. I don't think they let them in. By the way, Bill, the way I understood it, they were turned away. They should have been. If they weren't, they're nuts. So anyway, my point is, if 160 tested positive, and these things are, the way I understand it, the rapid tests have like a 30% failure rate. So there's people that got in there that had COVID. Just like 160, not all 160 of those people that tested positive had it. So anyway, not going down that rabbit hole. It was actually a fun game to watch. Some horrible coaching decisions, bad refereeing, but at the end, the Bills won, and the Bills should have won. So good job out of Josh Allen with, played a really good game, I thought. Jonathan Taylor played well for the Colts. Stephon Diggs had a really good game after some talk that he wasn't going to play. So anyway, I think a good all-around game. So we move on to Seattle. Seattle and the Rams. I thought, Seattle had pretty much manhandled the Rams a couple of weeks ago in Seattle. And, I had talked the Rams up all year. And the last month, I've started to kind of slide backwards on the Rams. And then Goff got hurt. And I was sliding backwards even more. They only got into the playoffs. No, I'm sorry. The Bears got in the playoffs because Arizona's lost. But, they got in because they beat Arizona with Wolford. Is that his name? Wolford. Yeah, Wolford. He gets hurt. Wolford, their backup quarterback, is starting. The only other active quarterback they have is Goff with a bad hand. And Wolford gets hurt 8-9 minutes into the game. Took a pretty good blow to the head. They took him to the hospital, and thank God he was fine. But Goff comes in. Now you've got to change. Rams had a great coaching job yesterday because, again, Wolford and Goff are two different quarterbacks. Game planning is different. They did a great job of adjusting on the fly. Goff did not play a great game, but he played a Jared Goff game. He managed the game, didn't put them in a position to lose, and they win. Their defense. Rick Sherlock. We'll touch on the pool once we get through talking about today's games. Actually, after I go through today's, yesterday's and today's games, we'll recap the pool quickly from yesterday, and I will send you guys the spreadsheet as it's updated after today. But I do believe, without looking at it, I just had the spreadsheet open. It was Rick Sherlock had the Rams, only one with 3 points yesterday. Where was I? So anyway, the Rams run the ball well. Akers had 130 yards rushing and 45 yards receiving, I think. As I said, Goff played well. Kupp had some big catches. He made one catch where I thought for sure the ball was going to be intercepted. And Kupp comes back and catches the ball. Great. He had a couple of great catches, and he had a great game overall. Seahawks just seemed out of sorts all day. They had an issue early on, which is kind of indicative of the way their day went, where DK Metcalf was just livid. This might have been a first quarter, could have been a second quarter. On a sideline, he's going off on Russell Wilson, and Pete Carroll's trying to calm him down, and everything was cool. Those types of things happen right on the sideline, but to me, it was indicative of the day. The Seahawks just were out of sorts. Couldn't run the football. Russell Wilson wasn't Russell Wilson. 11 of 27 for 174 yards. 50 some of those were on one touchdown to Metcalf. So take that play away, and he's got 10 completions for 120 yards. I'd love to know who's overrated, by the way. Are we talking about Metcalf or Wilson? You guys got to give me more information so I know when you tell me who's overrated. Because remember, I'm talking, you guys got a delay up to 10 seconds. I've got two live feeds going, YouTube and here, or Facebook. So I've got a pretty good delay, so you got to let me know because I've kept talking and you guys then post. So let me know what we're talking about so I can. Anyway, Watson. I just got the Watson reference, by the way, Bill. I wasn't getting the Watson reference, and I just got it. The Seahawks overrated? Yeah, their defense has been suspect all year. Their offense is Russell Wilson. And if they don't get that going, they don't have anything, right? And Wilson was terrible. I just gave you his numbers. Plus, he threw a horrible. I mean, to me, that was probably the turning point of the game. In my mind, was the pick six that he throws. I mean, it wasn't even a 4-yard screen. And the Rams cornerback jumped the ball and jumped the play and easy pick six. And that was probably talk slower. And that was probably Russell Wilson had a bad day. And that was kind of the story of the game. I mean, Rams won to me in all aspects of the game. They won on the trenches. Russell Wilson was under duress all day. McVay's a really good coach. I love Pete Carroll. Don't get me wrong, but the Seattle needs some weapons around Russell Wilson more than DK Metcalf. I love DK Metcalf. But they need I think they need to upgrade their running game. I think they need another wide receiver, and they certainly need to work on their defense. So they lose yesterday, 30-20. I guess the big news here is that for the Rams is that Donald left the game with an injury. So that's we're going to have to keep an eye on that as we head into next week. And of course, the quarterback situation, because Goff is not healthy. I mean, his hand is in pretty rough shape. Now Wolford's hurt. Blake Bortles is their only other quarterback, and he was inactive yesterday. That's what I was starting to get at when Goff came in the game. I mean, if he had gotten hurt, I don't know what they were going to do. I don't really know what the backup plan was. I didn't hear it from the announcers. I think that game I might have had on the computer with the sound off because my wife needed a break from football. So I was watching that and probably, I don't know what else I was watching. But so we go to last night, Tampa Bay. And by the way, guys, Tampa Bay Mark is in the pool. You guys all know my best buddy, Mark Mathewson, and I have been longtime Patriot fans, season ticket holders. Bill Pulver introduced to the live game of football. I believe I took him to his first live game in New England against the Giants. And too many years ago to remember, 1988 or 9. Yeah, both Rick's talking about the Seahawks receivers. Both of them did have over 1,000 yards passing, but I still think they need a third receiver. So even Stevie Wonder saw the gift coming from Russell. Anyway, let me move on to the Bucs game. So Tampa Bay Mark is in the game. I think Mark's gone full-fledged Tampa Bay fan now because he has picked the Bucs to go all the way in our pool. If you guys didn't get the spreadsheet I sent you yesterday, the guys that are participating, let me know. I'll be sending that out again tonight or tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning most likely. But last night's game, I got to tell you, Brady played well. 22 of 40, 361 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Bucs ran the ball well. They ran for 150 yards, I think 142 yards. Evans had a really good game. Antonio Brown contributed with a touchdown. They played against a quarterback who'd never, ever played before in Heineke. That kid played a game. He battled. Kept that game close. Bucs couldn't seem to pull away. They got ahead by 12. They'd be up by 8. They'd be up by 5. Spread was 8, by the way. A tough day for Keith again yesterday, man. I bet the over in the Buffalo game, 51.5. Colts give away 10 points, not to go back to that. Bet the Seahawks. You know what happened there. And then I had the Buccaneers -8, so we get a push. Best game I had all day. Anyway, indicative of the way my year has gone. So Brady plays well. The running backs play well. Evans plays well. Brown contributes. Defense, You know, the Rams, the team formerly known as the Redskins. I don't know if I said the Redskins yet today. But they stayed in there. And the Buccaneers winning that game by 8, I've got them going to the NFC Championship game and beating New Orleans. I'm sorry, losing to Seattle. Lost one of my Super Bowl teams already. There still feels like there's something missing there, right? I don't know. It just feels like something's wrong. Everything isn't clicking. This feels like a game they should have won by, 2 touchdowns, 20 points. Redskins defense really good. They got some stuff to build on there. Team formerly known as the Redskins. Sorry, I'm never going to stop doing this. You know that, right? So again, I just think that it's our first playoff win. You got to give the Bucs credit. I'll give Brady credit. I'm not a Brady. I won't root against Tom Brady, and he's got the Bucs in the playoffs for the first time since 2007. That's their first victory in the playoffs since 2002, which I believe was a Super Bowl. So, great job. Moving on, what did we learn? I think we learned Buffalo's good. I think Buffalo winning this game was huge. Now I think Buffalo will get to the AFC Championship game. They could have got beat yesterday. If you watch my playoff preview show Friday that I did, if not, go back and watch it. It's only 40 minutes. I said the Colts had a puncher's chance, and if the Bills were going to get beat early, the Colts had a chance to do it. Of course, that's the only team they're going to play early, so I don't know what I'm talking about there. I think Buffalo is what we thought Buffalo was. Seattle, we probably found out, as Rick said, is overrated. And the Rams maybe are what I thought they were midseason, where I thought all around, when they play their game, they're the best all-around team in the NFC. Doesn't mean they got a great offense. They do run the ball really well. Goff keeps them in the game, doesn't make mistakes when they put him in a position to succeed. And the defense is really good, especially the front four and the defensive backs. Really good. So I think it'll be interesting next week to see what happens. Today's games we'll cover quickly. 3 games today again, 105, 440, and 840. First game's the Ravens and the Titans. Ravens actually favored on the road here today. I think we have a pretty mixed bag in our playoff challenge, our TGI Sports Talk playoff challenge. I think we have a pretty mixed bag of picks on this game. I have the Ravens. I like the Ravens today. I don't know. The Titans defense is just not that good. I mean, Derrick Henry had a phenomenal year, over 2,000 yards rushing. Tannehill threw for 33 touchdowns. A.J. Brown had over 1,000 yards receiving and 11 touchdowns. But I just think the Ravens will slow Henry down enough that they'll be able to win this game. Because, again, if you force Ryan Tannehill's similar to Jared Goff in my mind. If you have to rely on him to throw the football, you're going to have problems. Again, just my opinion. Again, 16 games, he throws for 3,800 yards. That's not a lot today. But when your running back's running for 2,000 yards, you're not going to get that many passing yards, right? So anyway, I like the Ravens today. I don't have a lot more to say about that game. If you guys have any opinion here, certainly speak up. Remember, I'll be waiting. I can always circle back. I think it's interesting, though, that the Ravens are, I think, a 3-point favorite on the road here. So Not sure where I'm going in this game. I have 3 games to pick. I may save a pick for the championship game tomorrow in college football, which we'll be talking about in a second. The second game today is the Bears at the Saints. Saints, I think, are a 9.5-point favorite. We'll see what they are today when the line comes out. I just don't. I think this is a mismatch. Kamara and Thomas were both activated. Whether they're healthy enough to play, or how healthy they are and how much they can play, I guess, is still to be seen. If they both can play and they're anywhere near full capacity, then I think the Bears are going to get trounced, to be honest with you. The Bears got off to a good start, 5-1, lost 7 in a row. You know, they had quarterback issues all year long until the last few weeks. Trubisky started playing well, but you got to remember something. They won 3 straight games against the Texans, the Vikings, sorry, Rick, and the Jaguars. They lost the last week to Green Bay, and they only get in the playoffs because Arizona lost. I just think the Saints have got too much firepower here. And the Saints play pretty good defense, too. Bears 8-8. Come on, right? Well, yeah. I'm not giving them any credit here. Remember, the team formerly known as the Redskins were 7-9. And Giant fans are complaining they should be in. Go watch that vlog, guys. You want to see Keith worked up. Anyway, Giant fans got nothing to complain about, guys. If you didn't watch that vlog, they're relying on the Eagles to beat the Redskins. Should Hurts have come out of the game? I don't know, but no, he shouldn't have come out of the game. But who cares? Who cares? Giants fans, good grief. Anyway, what else we got going on in this game I want to chat about? Anything else I want to cover? I like the Saints big here. I like the Saints by at least 2 touchdowns. Don't think there's much else I want to take. I mean, a playoff win here by the Bears somehow might save Nagy's job and Trubisky's job. He's a free agent, and they may bring him back, but I doubt it. I think he needs a fresh start. Maybe Nagy saved his job by getting into the playoffs. I just don't think so. 8-8 again, as Billy says, big deal. Billy's going back to the Redskins game. Yeah, well, I wouldn't say he's third string quarterback. He's their second string quarterback. There is no second. Haskins is gone. So he was the second string quarterback, but I had said at the outstart he had not started a game. I just said there's something missing with the Bucks. Bucks should have won this game easy. So, yes, Bill. Bucks had an easy game. Get off the Bucks. We're getting to that. Billy always is either behind me or ahead of me. We'll get to the Browns. Oh, we're getting there now. Browns and Steelers. Very interesting game. Kevin Stefanski out. Oh, Stefanski. What's his name? Oh, my God. Why do I keep calling him Stefanski? It's probably because of the people in the news today. Stefanski out. He's the play caller. Alex Van Pelt calling plays for the first time all year. And you can say, well, he's the offensive coordinator, and, well, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But, guys, when one guy's been calling the plays all year and understands the flow of the game, it's a big deal that Stefanski is not coaching this game. And if you're wondering about, oh, well, why doesn't he coach it by Zoom? Or, with technology today, coaches should be able to coach from home. Like I work from home. 10 months now, by the way. You can't do it. The NFL rules say after X amount of time, and this is before COVID, so, they didn't perceive that this would come into play. But you can't have any communication outside the stadium after a certain point before the game. So that's not a possibility. Browns will Billy, you just don't trust anybody. You're the most distrustful fan. I mean, I'm glad to hear it's not just the Patriots and Tom Brady that you hate. I don't think the headsets will get scrambled. I think it'll be done on the up and up. But I don't think the Browns are going to have a chance today. If they're going to, Nick Chubb, their chances, their running game against the Steelers' run defense. The Steelers' run defense has not been good. Nick Chubb will probably have a big game today. But my problem is, as I've said all year, I'm not a huge Baker Mayfield fan. Just not. This is his biggest spot. Baker Mayfield will go a long ways to changing my mind and a lot of other people's mind about being a winner in the NFL. And when I say winner, I don't mean getting into the playoffs here, at 11-5 as a wild card. I mean winning in the playoffs and having a chance to take your team to a Super Bowl. Billy respects Tom Brady. Awesome. Have you taken, Bill, is there some kind of split personality going on with you that I don't know about? Oh, my God. Isn't this the same guy who accuses Tom Brady of cheating every week, Rick? Okay. By the way, I think the Steelers, getting back to this game here, I think the Steelers have got the advantage. Obviously, with the coach and play caller out, unable to coach. Big Ben's played much better coming into the end of the season. The last couple of games, he didn't play the last game. And by the way, the Browns had trouble beating Mason Rudolph. Now I know they had some COVID issues, and I think obviously they still got some COVID issues. I like the Steelers here, and I think the Steelers are going to probably be able to pull away here and win this game at least by a touchdown or more. So that's the games today. Let's recap quickly. I don't know how long I can play this. Cut off by Facebook playing copyrighted music. Very quickly, guys. After just one day of games, 3 games, Rick Sherlock leads the way, the only undefeated player yesterday. He had the Bills, the Rams, and the Bucks, and he is ahead with 3 points. Pulling up the rear is our resident skeptic, Bill Pulver. Bill Pulver with 1 point. Only picked the Bills right yesterday. And the rest of us all have 2 points with some combination of 2 winners. So Keith had the Bills and the Bucks. Drew had the Bills and the Bucks. Mark R had the Bills in the Bucks. And Mark, the Buccaneer fan, had Bills and Tampa Bay. So that's where we stand after 1 day of games, guys. And I lost you guys. Hold on. Got to get back to you. Bear with me. Oh, there you are. So an early lead for Rick Sherlock. I'm probably in big trouble. I got Seattle going to the Super Bowl, by the way. So I probably took the biggest hit of anybody yesterday. Maybe not. I think somebody else might have had Seattle in the Super Bowl. Did they? Oh, Billy does. So Billy and I are probably in trouble when one of your Super Bowl teams is out in the first round. So let's see how it goes from here out. Some more NFL news. Very interesting enough, the 5 oldest quarterbacks in the league are all in the playoffs. And for all the talk about all the young guns, and they will take over at some point, obviously. These guys can't play forever. 5 oldest quarterbacks in the NFL are in the playoffs, and Two of them have already moved on. So interesting little point there. Beers are on you too. I'm already buying. I think was the decision. It's funny how when I told Mark, not Mark Roberts, Mark, my boy Mark, that there was beer involved, he jumped into this pool. Anyway, some other news. Coaching news. Adam Gase. Oh, imagine that, Billy. Adam Gase got fired Monday. Hard to believe. And also Anthony Lynn. No surprises there. Also, Doug Marrone got fired. No surprise there. As far as coaching searches go, the Jets have already started interviewing. True to form for the Jets, their first interview was Marvin Lewis. Yes, Marvin Lewis. That Marvin Lewis who managed to stay, I think, 12 seasons in Cincinnati without a playoff victory. Not a bad coach, but Marvin Lewis was their first interview. Now, I will say, maybe it's a Rooney Rule thing. I don't know. Maybe they just had to have a minority interview and they wanted to get it out of the way early with Marvin Lewis. If they did, then that's flaunting the rule, I would say. But because they cannot be serious about hiring Marvin Lewis. He's not a young guy, and it's not like he's, some guy had this great success and we need to bring him back. A la Dick Vermeil or some of these other guys that have come back at a later age after being away from the game for a while. I'm not sure whether Billy's not believing Adam Gase got fired. Should only happen a couple months ago. Now, the Jets did redeem themselves, by the way, for interviewing Marvin Lewis, in my mind, with a great interview following that. They interviewed Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator of the Panthers. He was the offensive coordinator with the LSU Tigers the year before that. And he's a rising star. And he's a kind of a quarterback guru. So, again, whether the Jets are going to draft a quarterback or keep Sam Darnold, Joe Brady would be an excellent choice in my mind to consider for that job. Now they're also going to interview some other guys. The names escape me. I always forget the Buffalo's offensive coordinator's name. You guys can throw them out there. Some of these guys can't interview for a while, right? Him, Eric Bieniemy. Now Eric Bieniemy had some negative stuff come up this week on the personal side of his life, whether it'll affect his chances of getting a head coaching job or even getting interviews. I don't know yet. But we'll see. I think we've been talking about this for a while, Bill. Jets management need replacement. Joe Brady would be a good selection. Matt Campbell would be a good selection for them out of Iowa. I predicted here Jim Harbaugh would be the Jet coach. And I was way off there. He signed an extension, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So anyway, a good second interview for the Jets. Probably the bigger news is Urban Meyer. I did a vlog here 2 weeks ago, I think, talking about Urban Meyer and his future, whether it would be in TV, college. At the time, I thought the only college job he would ever consider was Texas, and we saw what happened there. In fact, that when I did the vlog, it didn't look like that job was even going to come open. But Urban Meyer's testing the waters. Urban Meyer's interviewing with the Jaguars. Now, rumors are he's asking for $12 million a year, which I think is outlandish for any first-year NFL coach, regardless of his success in college. And I do think Urban Meyer could be successful in the NFL. He's been run pro-style offenses for a long time, especially the way the game's played today with the spread offenses, and hardly anybody lines up under center anymore. So I think he can. I think Style-wise, I think, and coaching-wise, I think Urban Meyer can coach in the NFL. Now he'd have Trevor Lawrence to build with. Supposedly, Urban Meyer's calling around trying to assemble a staff, according to ESPN this morning. So we'll see how that plays out. I think we'll know where that goes probably midweek, I would say, whether he's going to the Jags or not. Now, I have said publicly that if Urban Meyer wants to coach the NFL, now, again, remember, Urban Meyer has had some health issues, and it's well known, as with many, many coaches, losses eat him up. At least they did in college. In college, they mean, every loss is, the end of the world, because the games mean so much. Every game means so much. In the NFL, not so much. You can lose a game, 2 games, 3 games, 8 games. I think he's going to want to lose 8 games. So maybe that the fact that every game isn't going to be life and death, it will let him ease up on his own himself. And again, whether those things led directly to his health problems, or not, is debatable. But Urban Meyer would be an interesting guy. I think he should go to San Diego. That's what I said in my vlog. If I had a choice of the 2 jobs, because of management in Jacksonville, facilities, yeah, you got Trevor Lawrence coming in. But the San Diego job, California, brand new stadium, brand new facilities. Herbert, I think the best rookie quarterback this year, easily. That kid can play. That kid can play, and that team's going to get better once they've got a real head coach. Sorry, Anthony Lynn. So it's going to be kind of interesting. That we're going to talk more as the weeks come on now. Once we get through the playoffs, or as we move through the playoffs and move towards the Super Bowl, the coaching carousel is going to heat up. Also, on a lesser note, the Cowboys fired, not surprisingly, their defensive coordinator, Dick Nolan. I think they also fired another defensive assistant. And I'm pretty sure, I can't remember it, if anybody has any other opinion. The way I understand, if I remember right, when Mike McCarthy got hired, Mike McCarthy was not allowed to pick his own staff. And again, I think that's part of the problem. Billy's way behind. I'd love to know I'd love to know your thoughts on how they should change the draft system, Bill, but if you don't want teams tanking, I'm imagining, but I'm not sure how you should do it. Maybe they should do a lottery like the NBA does. Let me get back to the Cowboys. I don't think Mike McCarthy was allowed to pick his own assistants. I'm not positive about that. I was trying to do some research this morning, and I couldn't find anything. Rex, Billy had mentioned they should bring Rex Ryan back to the Jets, and Mark says Rexy got a pedicure today, suffering too much defeat. There's a lot to read into that tiny little comment. Thank you, Mark Robert Shaw. I don't know why I refrained from using your names in our gambling, which involves no money, by the way. So I will call you Mark Robert Shaw from now on, and Mark Matheson. So anyway, back to Mike McCarthy again. I don't think he was allowed to pick his own coaches, and it's never a good situation. Never. So hopefully, as they start to change their coaching staff, which has already started with Mike Nolan getting fired, former NFL head coach in San Francisco. He's been a defensive coordinator in quite a few places, San Francisco, New Orleans, a few other stops. They give Mike McCarthy some leeway here in picking his own assistants. If I'm right in the fact that he did not get say, they should really think twice about doing that. Oh, one more thing. I forgot my Pats tie in here before we move on from the NFL. But one more thing about the NFL before I want to move on. The talk is, and you guys have all seen it, that Deshaun Watson in Houston is considering asking for a trade. He hasn't yet, but there's already been some rumors about Deshaun Watson to the Jets, Deshaun Watson to the Giants, Deshaun Watson to probably a dozen other teams. You know, when you're talking about the draft, it's a crapshoot. I've said a couple of times, I think the only sure thing among the quarterbacks is Trevor Lawrence. Fields, don't know. I really don't know what he's going to do on the next level. Mac Jones played great, but Devontae Smith certainly elevated Mac Jones's game. Watson to the Vikings, says Rick Sherlock. They're all over. That'd be a good trade. Any team would do well to pick up Deshaun Watson. He's a great talent, and his talent is going to waste with the Texans. He's as good. If your first round selection is going to be Watson because you traded your draft pick for him, if you're drafting high enough, not a bad move. The Jets could consider doing that. I'd want to get a first rounder back, probably. I don't know if they can do it, though. Look, if I'm the Jets, by the way, I'll say this again. Now that Trevor Lawrence is off the table, to me, Trevor Lawrence was a no-brainer and will be with Jacksonville. Would have been with the Jets. But now that he's off the table and I say the rest of these guys are not sure things, I do one of two things. I go out and get Deshaun Watson, and I don't even know if would be plan A for me. Plan B or plan A would be keep Darnold. Hopefully you can get a guy like Joe Brady as your head coach, who's a quarterback guru, or you hire a head coach that is good with quarterbacks, or bring in somebody who can get Sam Darnold moving directly. I don't think Sam Darnold's a lost cause. I think if the Jets cut ties, he may need to move on, but I think if the Jets cut ties with him, he's probably going to step it up. He's a young guy yet. Sounds like he's been in the league 8 years and has been a massive failure, like, Ryan Leaf and some guys. Najee Harris is not going to the Jets at number 2. If they trade down, Billy, then maybe. If they were smart, they keep Darnold and they draft Devontae Smith at number 2. Devontae Smith is a generational player. Great wide receiver. Game changer. I don't think they need the running back. They can find running back. Running backs are a dime a dozen in the draft. Great wide receivers like Devontae Smith don't come along every day. They just don't. And he's a game changer. I'm not running the Jets. If I was, I'd certainly be considering taking him with the number 2 pick, not Najee Harris. No way. I don't disagree. They don't need a quarterback. I agree with that, Rick. I wouldn't make the Deshaun Watson trade. Like just said, I rebuild Sam Darnold's confidence and draft a wide receiver. And you guys keep talking about running backs, but do you watch the games today? Running games don't win games. Who had a better running game yesterday, the Buffalo or the Colts? They lost. The only game I can say the running game really was a determining factor was in the Seahawks and Rams game, and that was not a determining factor, a big factor. Guys, running backs you can find if you're smart and you can draft them. You can get running backs late in the first round, early second round. Really good backs. Look at some of the backs. I don't know the answer to this, guys, but go tell me where. Nick Chubb was drafted high, yes, but go tell me where Jonathan Taylor wasn't a top 10 draft pick. Akers from L.A., I'm not even sure where he got drafted. You don't need a running back. You need offensive line help. I'll give Billy credit there. But you take an offensive lineman at 2, you're going to get killed by the fans. Rick Sherlock, Tennessee, you're right. But they haven't won a playoff game yet, Rick. They haven't won a Super Bowl. They don't have a quarterback that, to me, I've talked about this forever. I don't think they have a quarterback that can take them to the championship. Look at maybe I'm wrong. Patriots have been a passing team when they won. Recently. Don't go back 20 years on me. Emmitt Smith. Guys, Emmitt Smith. Billy. Emmitt Smith has been retired longer than you. Emmitt Smith's 50 years old. The game has changed since 1995. Ask Rick Sherlock, one of the best running backs in the league he's got on his team. What was their record this year? Quarterback, wide receiver. I'm not saying running backs aren't important. They're very important. Very important. You guys mark my words. I hope everybody passes on Devontae Smith and Bill Belichick finds a way to get him. I would be very happy with that. I hope there's a lot of NFL GMs that think like you guys, and somehow he falls to the Patriots. Then we'll be talking. By the way, guys, it's the playoffs. The Patriots have to come up. I'm sorry. They just have to come up. We were talking about the Browns and Steelers. And I don't know if you guys know it, but the Browns have not won a playoff game since 1994. Hold on. I got to back up. Billy, please. Gore won some games for the Jets. You won 2 games. Your guys' arguments are not, well, Rick, Watson's a little more, Watson's a little more coherent than Billy. Billy, come on. Running backs will not control the game in the NFL. I'm not saying it won't come back again. Right now, quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs are intangible. They move. They're what do I want to say? I'm trying. You can move them in and out. They're just a part of the offense now. They don't carry the teams the way that OJ did and Earl Campbell did and Emmitt Smith did. Those days are gone. Anyway, 1994, the last time the Browns won a playoff game. Their head coach, Bill Belichick. Anyone want to guess who he beat? Hold it. Browns still playing the old system 20 years ago. Anybody want to put a guess in before I move on here from the NFL about who Bill Belichick beat as the Cleveland Browns head coach for their last playoff victory? I know you guys are behind me. I'll give you one guess. Billy still talk about Al Gore. Or no, Al Gore. Oh, man. Steve Lawrence, Al Gore. Prevagen. Rick's right. Al Gore should retire. No guesses on the Bill Belichick question. He beat my favorite. Not my favorite. He beat the fat bastard of a coach, Bill Parcells, and the New England Patriots for Cleveland's last playoff victory in 1994. True story. So Keith finds a way to get the Patriots and Bill Belichick into his playoff conversation. All right, guys, we're moving on. Let's go on to some college football, shall we? Do I have any music for college football? Oh, wait a minute. One more thing about Al Gore helping. Let me put Billy's comment up here. Yeah, Al Gore. God. what's his name? Frank Gore won some games for the Jets this year. 2 games. What did they win last year? 6 games. Here's what I got to say to that. Oh, wait. Yeah, sorry, Bill. Yikes. Anyway, guys. Why are we going back 20 years? Talk about the Browns, because they haven't won. It's a big deal that the Bills haven't won a playoff game in 25 years. I think it's as big a deal that the Browns haven't won in longer, 26 years. So it is a story. All right, sorry, that's Billy. That's the sound of Billy when Adam Gase got fired. Oh, I'm not rattled. You can't rattle me, Bill. I'm unrattleable. I have a argument for every argument you want to bring to me. And again, I don't say that I'm right. If I was right, I'd be running one of these teams. And hold on, let me check my text. No, nobody's called me about running one of these teams again today. All right. College football. The playoff, the final is Monday night after some discussion about moving it to the 18th because Ohio State is still under the siege of COVID-19. And I'm glad they didn't move this game, guys, because, Ohio State's had enough. They've had enough concessions made for them to get to this point as it is. Big Ten wasn't going to play, then decided to play late. They only played 7 games against Alabama's 12. The rules didn't even allow for them to play in the Big Ten championship game, but they changed the rules because they hadn't played enough games. If they had moved this game another week, I think it'd been a travesty. Play with the guys that are healthy, like everybody, like a lot of other teams did this year. I understand the NCAA wants to have a great game, a representative game. But they should not have been even considering moving this game, and they're not. So, again, this is a game that's filled with talent, guys. There's first-round draft picks galore here. In the Heisman Trophy winner, Devontae Smith, in Waddle, in Najee Harris, likely will be a first-round draft pick. He should not be the first pick in the draft or second pick in the draft. Trey Sermon, Justin Fields, obviously. Mac Jones, don't think he's going to be a first-round pick, but he's an NFL player. Except the Ravens. Again, I don't know if we're still talking about running backs, Rick, but still, they haven't won anything. When they won, they had a quarterback who threw the football, Joe Flacco, and a great defense. So anyway, this team is loaded with top players, guys you're going to see play in the NFL. And Billy's in with his comment, blowout, Bama route. Not sure. Game's 8. I really think that if Ohio State has a chance, they're going to need to limit. You're not going to stop Alabama, right? You're not going to stop Jones and Harris and Smith and Waddle. I'm not going to do it. So they need to limit their Alabama's possessions. Got to control the clock. Now, there was some discussion whether Fields was going to play. Josh Fields was going to play in this game. He's banged up. He's got some bad ribs. There were rumors earlier in the week he wasn't going to play. By all intents and purposes, Ryan Day says he is going to play. This must have happened in the last 45 minutes, Rick. Let's take a look. Rick's saying the game's moved. You guys stick with me here while I check this out a little bit. Where am I going to go? Well, let me go to ESPN. Who's your source there, Rick? Because again, as of the time, well, it's an hour and a half ago now, I guess. Last time I checked. Rick is saying the game has been moved, and it's been moved. That's a travesty in my mind. I do not see anything about the game being moved on ESPN. Go to, I don't know. I have no information that the game's been moved. If the game's been moved, it's a travesty. Well, no, I won't know if the game's delayed. It's the fact that I can't continuously watch the news is the delay's only 10 seconds, Bill. I don't see anything. I don't have anything that says that game's been moved. So send me a link, Rick, and we'll take a look at it. Oh, I'm sorry. Rick's talking about something else. Okay, never mind. So again, it would have been a travesty in my mind if that game had been moved. Now I got to find this so I can get it off the screen. You mean make complete sentences for Keith? Oh, guys. All right, where was I? Anyway, just you got me all rattled now because I forgot where I was. Okay, the game itself. I think they need to limit the Alabama possessions. I don't think Alabama will lose this game. I do think Ohio State's going to score some points. I think this game's going up and down the field, and I think it's going to be a 50-40 game or something. That's what I think. Alabama will cover. I don't think they'll win by 3 touchdowns. I think they'll win by 10, 12. But I think it might take 90. It could be a total of 90 points. Because Alabama can be scored on. And Ohio State has got a lot of talent on that team. Yeah, I agree that Rick. There were a lot of games moved in the NFL. There was a lot of games moved in college too, guys. So I'm not saying games weren't moved. I said enough concessions were made for Ohio State already this year, without giving them another week to get ready for the championship game because they've had some COVID issues. They've benefited pretty well from the COVID, to be honest with you. Anyway, I will pick Alabama 50-40 in this game. Going to be a lot of points scored, I think. Steve Scarsazian's last game, he will be calling the plays for Alabama before he officially takes over at Texas. Ryan Day, by the way, is being mentioned. Is being mentioned in NFL circles again. If the Urban Meyer deal with Jacksonville falls through, then Ryan Day is their next target from everything I've read. So it'll be very interesting to see what comes out of this game. But that's kind of my take on the football game. Some other college news. I mentioned earlier, Harbaugh signed an extension, which I was very surprised at. I thought that they would amicably part ways at the end of the season, but he signed a 4-year extension. And actually, it's kind of a pay cut for Harbaugh, so he needs to kind of get the ship righted there and try to protect his legacy. Andy Avalos was hired as the Boise State head coach. I believe he was the offensive coordinator at Oregon, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that was the last FBS position that's still open, coaching-wise, head coach-wise, unless maybe Tennessee comes open because there's some talk that they're going to move on from Pruitt there, and they're being investigated for recruiting violations. You know, another. I guess Urban Meyer is type slower. I can come back to this, Rick, if you want to finish that comment. Because I do enjoy the Urban Meyer conversation. I think it's fascinating that he may coach in the NFL. What I don't find fascinating in talking about this Tennessee position, Jeff Fisher, who had a Oh, yeah. Urban Meyer is working on picking his staff. I said that earlier. But again, there's nothing set in stone. He's looking to see if he can put a staff together that he finds acceptable, and he's still got to come to terms. And if he's looking for $12 million, it could be a problem. Let me get back to this Tennessee story. What I don't find fascinating is Jeff Fisher, who had up and down success in the NFL. He was a really good coach at the outset with Houston, and he was the coach there when they transitioned to Tennessee, and had to weather the storms of that move for the franchise and took them to a Super Bowl. Really good Super Bowl game against the Rams back in '99. And then he went to the Rams and did not have quite the success. He was a failure there. Now he's openly campaigning for the Tennessee job that isn't open. And I don't think that's cool. It's not cool to be, a guy's got a job until he gets fired. The position's not open. And he says, well, if they should decide to move on from their head coach, I'd be interested. Shut up. Sorry, it's probably not even a topic that's on anybody's radar, but it's on mine. I read that story this morning, and it just kind of, those types of things always catch me the wrong way. Guys campaigning for jobs that aren't even open. I don't care if it's in college or the NFL or Major League Baseball. I don't care what we're talking about. The job's not open. Wait till it's open. They're not going to hire Jeff Fisher anyway. I'd be shocked. All right. A couple of comments about some guys who announced for the college draft. There's only 3 that I really jotted down. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence has declared he's coming out. Ian Book has, not surprisingly, has decided to come out, the quarterback for Notre Dame, who I like a lot. He's a guy I would love to see the Patriots get, not in the first or second round. I'd like to see him maybe as a third-round pick. And the other is Kellen Mond from Texas A&M. Not sure how he's going to play on the next level. And lastly, on the college level guys, I want to talk a little bit about the Heisman. I've told you for weeks or months that Devontae Smith is the best player in the country. Devontae Smith is the best player in the draft. Devontae Smith is also, if you watch his acceptance speech, he strikes me as a kid who gets it. If I'm an NFL team, I want that kid. He looks like he's got character, he's got talent, and he gets it. So we'll see what happens. Billy, instead of listening to the show, Billy is bringing up Bill Belichick's record with the Browns. Oh, gosh. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the Heisman itself. I'm happy that a wide receiver won this award. First time since, maybe 98, that a wide receiver won the award. It's become a quarterback award. I mean, through the 2000s, going back to 2000, 2 times quarterback not win the award. And it's never been dominated by quarterbacks like that before. Now, that's probably because of the way the game's changed. As I talked about in the NFL, I did bring it up, Bill. I was making no other comment other than the fact that making no other comment other than the fact that the last time they won, Bill Belichick was their coach. I got a way to talk about the Patriots. Back to the Heisman. So this has really been a big swing for the Heisman. I did a little research, and it's funny. As you go back in time, it's much more diverse how the selections were made. It's become a quarterback award pretty much, as I said, 2 times in 20 years. Non-quarterbacks have won. And again, that might be part of the way the game's changed, because the college game is played a lot like the pro game today. I can't put did you spell his name right, Bill? Before I put it on the screen? I know I spell it wrong all the time, but I think there's an O in there somewhere. I could be wrong. Great receiver needs a running back. Billy's still on the first pick. Anyway, I'm not going to debate anymore what I think of Devontae Smith. I hope all the GMs overlook this kid, his talent, his character, and just the way he's going to change a team. No, even the Patriots don't realize this, Bill. I don't know whether you've watched the Patriots for years. It's been, in this 20-year run, Corey Dillon was probably the only back they had that was a dominant back. They've rotated backs right and left. You don't need, they proved you do not need a stud running back to win championships. Anyway, I digress. Keep throwing them at me. I'll keep shooting them down. Back to the Heisman. We talked about the 2000s. The 90s, it was a mixed bag. 4 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 4 quarterbacks. 80s, it was 6 running backs, a wide receiver, and 3 quarterbacks. In the 70s, only 2 quarterbacks won, 7 running backs. And then Johnny Rodgers, who was kind of a hybrid. He was a running back and a wide receiver and combined. Great player, by the way. Great player, Johnny Rodgers. And then in the 60s, I think it was like 5-5. So again, the quarterbacks, that's just something I want to bring up. The quarterbacks have kind of taken over that award. I'm not saying it's good or bad. The game's changed a lot. It kind of talks about a little bit about my thoughts on why you don't need great running backs. Quarterbacks are where it is. Quarterbacks and wide receivers, guys. Anyway, I'm done. No more football today. We're going to move on. We're going to talk a little bit about baseball. We're going to talk a little bit about the Knicks, and then we're going to move on and enjoy our Sunday football. Baseball. Huge trade this week. Huge trade. We've had a couple of big trades before this, actually. San Diego had made a really big move in picking up Blake Snell and then Yu Darvish. Blake Snell from the Tampa Bay Rays and the Yu Darvish from the Cubs. And the Padres are loading up out there in the West, and the Dodgers better watch out. Dodgers are loaded, but that's going to be a great race in my mind. I mean, right now, the two teams the only two teams that are really making significant moves are the Padres and now the Mets. The Mets trade for Lindor, the shortstop from Cleveland, along with Carlos Carrasco, and they trade 2 really good shortstops. Ahmad Rosario has not really developed the way they thought he would, but the kid Jimenez that they traded with him was their future. I like this move. Yeah, Drew's already made my point. For this to be a good trade, I gotta let Drew do the show. For this to be a good trade, the Mets have got to sign Lindor, and he only wants $300 million. Cleveland already offered him over $200 million. Steve Cohen's pockets are wide open. I don't doubt that the Mets certainly have the wherewithal now to do this. They didn't before they sold the team. And if they sign him, then it's a great deal. They still need to bring in an outfielder. I would bring in George Springer with him. And I don't think Steve Cohen is a George Steinbrenner type with as far as money goes. I don't think he's going to be caring about the salary cap. I think he will spend the money. It's a matter of whether the guy wants to play there or they want to give him the years and the money. But the trade itself, if you just look at it on its face this year, it's a great trade for the Mets. Lindor is a 5-tool player. He's killed the Yankees in the playoffs a couple years ago. Carlos Carrasco is a very good pitcher. He's had a couple of down years. He had some health issues with leukemia, and he's come back from that. And it's a matter of whether he can get his feet back under him. Yes, Bill, baseball. We will be talking a lot of baseball going forward. So I think that, again, for 1 year, we'll see. The Mets, for Lindor, is obviously going to make the Mets better. The Mets now have got a pretty good infield. But for this to be a really successful trade, as Drew said, the Mets need to sign him long term because otherwise you've given up your future at shortstop. And I think they can probably get it done. And you know what? I think another key for the Mets is keeping the Yankees off the back page. If we're still buying newspapers. I'm not. I don't really have a back page anymore when I sign in online. But that's a huge deal in New York for the Mets to take over the town. And I'll tell you what, with Steve Cohen, I'm a Yankee fan, huge Yankee fan. Not a Met fan. I follow the team. Obviously, they're here. They're right in front of my face every day. I follow the entire league. With Steve Cohen in charge, the Mets have a chance to become first fiddle here in New York City. And that's not a small thing because it hasn't happened since the 80s. And this is just the first stroke. I know Steve Cohen was getting a little irritated that the Mets weren't making some moves and making big splashes, and he'd given Sandy Alderson, an open checkbook basically. And now we'll see what happens. The trade's made. You got to get the guy signed. They're still talking about George Springer. They're still talking about Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer could be out of the equation now with what do you call it coming in? Yeah, Billy, I'm going to get to that comment in a second. I'll put it up in a minute. So the Mets are putting a team together. I'm not, Alderson's a team builder, and he built a decent team here before he had to leave. I think he left for health reasons as much as anything. Drew, you'd probably know better than I, but I think Sandy Alderson built winning teams in Oakland without payroll. He built winning teams in New York with the Mets without really a New York payroll. The Wilpons were behind the eight ball, man, when it came to finances by the time Alderson came there. I like Sandy Alderson. I think he left. I think he mostly left of his own accord because of the health issues that he had of his own. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. The Yankees have really made no moves at all yet, other than keeping Gary Sanchez, which I don't understand. And we're going to get into this a lot more as we go on. But look I said last year, as you watched my show as we got through the summer and the fall, that Gary Sanchez needed to be moved out of here. He needed a change of scenery. Gary Sanchez, I mean, when your best pitcher doesn't even want to throw to him, and he played one game against Tampa Bay, I think. I don't know. He's a young guy yet. He had very little value that they could trade for him, so tendering him a contract was probably their only opportunity to do anything, but there's other things that need to be addressed here too. DJ LeMahieu's still out there as a free agent. He's a key for the Yankees to bring back. He's the key to everything. And they need a shortstop. Lindor was one of the guys on their radar. Well, he's gone. They've talked about bringing back Didi Gregorius, which I wouldn't mind. Gregorius bounced back and had a nice year for the Phillies last year. They need to move Torres back to second base. If they can bring LeMahieu in and bring in a Didi Gregorius or somebody solid to play shortstop, they talked about Brandon Crawford from the Giants, among other names. They just need to solidify the defense there. Get Torres back to second base, sign LeMahieu, play him at first base, and then you can move him around to play these other positions when these guys need a break. And I don't disagree. Semien would have been good for the Yankees as well. He would be very good. There's a lot of names out there that would be good for the Yankees. It's a matter of, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what, it's all baseball, really. It's not just the Yankees, but there's been like and it's got to be the COVID-19 fallout that no moves are getting made here. Very few moves. I mean, a handful. Gosh. Who signed with Kyle Schwarber signed with the Nationals yesterday, a 1-year deal. But not a lot of movement anywhere. Padres, Mets are winning the offseason so far. I didn't catch the Yankees there, Drew. I won't comment on the sophomore comments, but because I'm the king of those, so I can't really make a comment about that. Anyway, things are kind of slow on the Major League Baseball front. We'll be talking a lot more about it. It's only January 15th. Won't be long till pitchers and catchers, and I'm excited about that. Yeah, Drew brings up a good point. Washington, again, I don't consider these huge moves. I'm talking about, Drew's last comment is kind of spells that out. Washington did make a couple of moves for Bell and Schwarber, but, so what? Not earth-shattering moves. I think things will start to break loose here. I don't know. There's a lot of guys available, man. Spring training's right around the corner, so it's going to be interesting to see how things shape up. The only other interesting news I saw is that the Padres also are thinking about giving Fernando Tatis Jr. $300 million over 10 years. Great player. Not a huge fan of his theatrics, but it's how the game's played today. It's possible that that deal gets done because he is a great player, and San Diego, again, I think has got the money to make this happen. So, lastly, in baseball, for the moment, we'll talk about the great Tommy Lasorda. Tommy Lasorda died this week. 92 years old, I think. Love Tommy Lasorda, love the Dodgers, hate Tommy Lasorda, hate the Dodgers. I've never been a big fan. In the 70s when they were playing the Yankees a lot, in 81 when they beat the Yankees. He lost twice, 77, 78. He beat the Yankees in 81. He beat the Mets in 88 in one of the greatest managerial jobs ever. That team could not. I mean, if they played the Mets, if they played the A's, well, the Mets too. They beat the Mets in the NLCS. If they played the A's 100 series, they would have lost 90 of them at least. But Tommy did a great job. Kirk Gibson hits a big home run, and he's got his second World Series victory of the 80s. But Tommy Lasorda was a great ambassador for baseball. You think about all the things that go on. Yeah, I agree. I wasn't even a big fan of Tommy Lasorda in the moment. When he was playing the Yankees in the 70s and the 77, 78 World Series. And, he just seemed like a cartoon character in a way. Oh God, I should have brought up his tirade about Dave Kingman when Kingman hit 3 home runs to beat him, and when he was with the Cubs. Oh gosh, Tommy Lasorda is a great ambassador for baseball. He really was great ambassador for the Dodgers. When you think about the game today and all the negative stuff there is in it, and all the money, the whatever, the lack of loyalty on either side of ball clubs. Tommy Lasorda spent his entire career with the Dodgers. Spent a lot of years in the minor leagues waiting to get a chance in the major leagues behind Walter Alston. And he was Alston's third base coach before he retired. But Tommy was exuberant, and the enthusiasm that he brought to the game is something that is lacking today. And guys like Tommy Lasorda, and we've lost a lot of great baseball people here in the last year. A lot of great players. I think Drew and I were talking about this the other day, or a week or so ago, whatever, sometime around the end of the year, about all the Hall of Famers we lost this year, or last year. 2021 is not starting out a lot better. And Tommy Lasorda was a great baseball man who should be remembered as such. He brought a lot to the game. He was a very successful manager. Again, I'm I'm giving him the short stick here on managing. He's a great manager. He wasn't just this colorful character. He's a great manager. Go back and watch that 88 World Series. Watch some of the lineups he put out there and tell me how they won that World Series. Great job. Anyway, we're going to be talking a lot about baseball going forward. The groups I share this to, guys, please comment. Throw out topics you want to hear as we start going forward, and we will talk about those on Sundays. And I've talked about this forever. Billy says he's a real gentleman to me. So Billy, you met Tommy. I'm guessing from that comment, and that's quite a thing. He seems like he'd probably be a great guy. Again, I have this thing, and I probably talked about it on this show. I know I've talked about it during some of my interviews. It drives my wife crazy, but I have this thing about people that I don't know, and I rate them about whether that seems like somebody I'd like to have a beer with, right? But I want to have a beer with that guy. Do I want to have a beer with? Trying to think of somebody I don't want to have a beer. Would I want to have a beer with Billy Martin? Probably not. But I want to have a beer with. Would I want to have a beer with? We're going live right now on Northeast Streaming Sports, by the way, guys, which we'll talk about again before we end the show. Linda McGrath just put a comment up. So, Tommy Lasorda, I'd want to have a beer with, right? Bobby Mercer, I'd want to have a beer with. Phil Niekro, I'd like to have a beer with. I'm thinking of some of these guys that have passed recently or now. That's how I judge people I don't know. Billy got a chance to meet him at Dodger Stadium. God bless you. I assume Tommy Lasorda was a pretty good guy and wore his heart on his sleeve. And what you saw is what you got. That's what I like. I don't like phonies. I don't like the A-Rods of the world, right? Do I want to have a beer with A-Rod? No. Do I want to have a beer with Pete Rose? No. I want to have a beer with Tommy Lasorda. I also have my own foursome. It changes over the years. 3 guys I'd like to play golf with. Rick says he'll have a beer with the pulverizer. Good point, by the way. Billy says he yelled out Amsterdam, New York when he met Tommy Lasorda, and he stopped his interview because Tommy Lasorda played ball in Schenectady for the Schenectady Blue Jays. And the Amsterdam Rugmakers played in that same league. And I believe the number I heard was that he struck out 25 guys in a game. I can't remember. Rick or Billy or Drew, you might have heard this story this week that he struck out 25 guys against the Rugmakers one day. And I'm not sure if that's the right number. 28 was in my head, but it doesn't seem right unless it was an extra inning game and he was pitching. He would have to strike out everybody. But 25. Yeah, 25. So Drew says I'm right. Good. 25 guys is amazing in whatever level of baseball you're playing, man. Only two guys put the ball in play. That was probably the highlight of Tommy's career because, as Drew pointed out, he didn't have much of a playing career, but he became a great manager. And the game is lacking characters like Tommy Lasorda today. Love Tommy Lasorda. I didn't know I loved him when I was watching him. But now that he's gone and I've had time to reflect this week, I realize what Tommy Lasorda brought to the game of baseball. So that's my take there. Mark Robertshaw, 25 in May of 1948. Wow. That's a long time ago. Good job with that number, Mark. All right, guys, I'm going to move on. We're going to talk real quick. Boy, 11:35. All right, we're going to talk about the Knicks and the NBA a little bit. And then we're going to wrap up today's show. Billy, 48, yes, came up in Billy came up in the 52 draft. Well, you were a baby. Let's talk about the NBA a little bit. There's some surprises in the NBA so far. The Knicks are a bit of a surprise, and we're going to dive into the Knicks a little bit in a second. We'll talk more NBA as we go forward. We're going to talk more NCAA college basketball, but it seems like the team can't get going. The season can't get going. I mean, Siena here locally has only played one game, I think, or actually they're playing this weekend, so they might have 3 under their belts. By the time we wrap up the weekend, I think they had a 2 games set with Fairfield this weekend, unless that got canceled. So they've had some troubles there getting that season going, but the NBA's gotten off. There's some COVID issues going on there. Jason Tatum for the Celtics is out with COVID-19. There's some players questioning the NBA's protocols. Last night, the Sixers played with just 7 players because of COVID, the league protocols. There's been talk about moving them back into a bubble, which I don't know how you can do for 60 more games, but who knows? But there's been some other surprises. It's early in the season, right? I'm surprised that the Bucks are off to such a sluggish start at only 6-4. One of them losing to the Knicks. The Bucks are a great team with the Greek freak who I will not even attempt to pronounce his name. Who else? The Nets are only 5-5. But the Nets. I'm going to talk about the Knicks last so I can enjoy my conversation. The Brooklyn Nets, to me, are going to be a mess. They're going to be great. I talked a bit about this on the Mac and Jack show a couple of weeks ago. The Brooklyn Nets strike me as a team that's either going to be great or it's just going to implode. And it's already heading in the latter direction, mostly because of Kyrie Irving. This man is a nut job. He's a good player, but he's not a great player. And I think he's got a higher opinion of himself than he actually should have. And he also thinks the earth is flat. He's a conspiracy nut about everything you can think of. He doesn't show up. And again, I'm not going to get into political discussions here. He doesn't show up for the game Wednesday night, and the team doesn't hear from him until like Thursday night. And nobody even knows why he didn't show. He didn't call his coach. He didn't call anybody. He just didn't come to the game. And then he says it was his reaction to the unrest in Washington, D.C. that day. Again, I'm not going to get into political conversation here. Kyrie Irving, I don't bring politics to my job. Don't bring it to yours. You get paid a lot of money, show up to play. And then shut your mouth. This guy, I'm telling you what, he's been a problem now on 3 teams. He was a problem in Cleveland, didn't get along with LeBron, only the greatest player in the game. He's a problem in Boston, a team that probably should have been to a finals by now. They got a really good team and a really good coach. And they're better off now for having Kyrie out of there. But the Nets are going to be, I don't know. It could be they're going to be a disaster. Drew's talking about the superstars of the Nets are always out or injured. Right. I mean, who knows whether Kevin Durant can hold up for an entire year with that rebuilt Achilles. Guys, I'm far from a professional athlete. but I ruptured my Achilles in 2008, and it still bothers me today. And the interesting thing is that the one that I didn't rupture is in worse shape than the one I did, probably because of, when I rehabbed it, I favored the other leg. Anyway, and also Steve. I mean, the players basically hired the head coach. I don't know whether Steve Nash can coach or not. He's a great player, and he's probably, he was a coach on the floor, so he could probably be a coach. But ownership basically laid down for the players. They said, "This is who we want." So that's going to be an interesting scenario. Let's see what happens there. Right. Maybe the Raptors are a little surprised getting off to 2-6, but they've been kind of decimated. Great coach. They've lost some players over the years. They can't play at home. They're playing in Tampa. Billy Pulver says that the Nets need to make the 3-point play 2.5. Billy has this thing about half points, and there needs to be plays for half points. Apparently in all sports. We came up with this for football, and apparently he wants it to happen. Let me not leave it up there too long, Bill, because we don't know who's going to tune in at that time and see that up there. Oh, my gosh. Other surprises. The Phoenix Suns, 7-3. Nice start for the Phoenix Suns. The rest of it, not a lot of surprises, I guess, out west. The Rockets are only 3-4, but the Rockets are a mess. James Harden, God, he looks like he weighs as much as I do. By the way, I started on Noom. My wife and I started on Noom. I like it a lot. If you guys are looking to, I don't care about losing a ton of weight. I need to lose some weight, yes, but I just want to be healthier as I get older. And I'm learning. It's a much different thing that I've ever tried before. It's not a diet per se. It's about changing your behavior. I'm going to mention Noom here today. Maybe they'll sponsor the show. So I'm going to let Noom know I brought them up. I'm really enjoying the program, by the way, guys. It's been a lot of fun, and it's really got us changing the way we do things. We'll see how long it lasts. It's only January 15th. Or no. What is it? January 10th. I'm 5 days ahead of time. Noom has actually got me so that I can look into the future, by the way. So the Rockets, I guess, are a surprise at 3-4, but they've got Harden left, and I don't know. John Wall, is he healthy? And Harden wants out. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. Other than that, I mean, I want to talk about the Knicks for a little bit. The Knicks are 5-4. The Knicks have had some really good wins. They beat the Bucks by 30. They beat the Jazz. The Jazz are a really good team. I wouldn't say they've had a bad loss. Maybe the Thunder, because I'm not a big Oklahoma City Thunder fan. They've really kind of blown up their roster over the last few years. That might be the only bad loss I would say is on their schedule so far. Yeah. Drew says, if Noom helps me look into the future, should my betting be better? It should be flawless. Yes. Problem is I didn't start it soon enough. It should have started it last September. Oh. We're hoping to break even. Back to the Knicks. Bad losses. I don't know that there's any bad losses. I mean, they lost to the Pacers. Gosh, who else have they lost to? Hold on here a second. I can't get my mouse to work. There we go. So anyway, the Knicks are 5-4, right? Here's the teams they lost to. Thunder, like I said, probably a bad loss. Raptors aren't off to a good start, but it's not a bad basketball team, guys. They lost to the Sixers. They're a good team. They lost to the Pacers. They're a pretty good team. So that's it. They're out there. The biggest thing that happened to this team is Tom Thibodeau is a great coach. There was a lot of question about how he was going to handle the fact that he's got such a young roster. Excuse me. Apologize. Very verklempt. He's got a, oh boy. Billy just got delivered California red wine. Hope you got enough for everybody, Bill. Tom Thibodeau is changed the entire culture in just a couple of months. There was question about whether he could work with these young guys. He likes veterans. But to me, he's done a great job. 5-4 isn't earth-shattering. It's really early in the season. But the culture's changing. Julius Randle playing great basketball. He's averaging 22, 12, and 7. He's basically a point forward. Knicks got some problems at point guard, but a lot of the offense is running through Randle. And there's some other guys on the team that have played well. I mean, Alec Burks has been hurt now for the last couple of weeks probably, but he was playing very well when he went out, very consistent. RJ Barrett's played up and down, but he's had some really good games. He's got to get more consistent. Austin Rivers has been contributing since he came back from an injury. Again, a nice veteran presence for these young guys. Mitchell Robinson started playing better in the middle. The Knicks brought back Gibson. I would have preferred Tyson Chandler come back in that spot. That's just me. I'm not going to go crazy over it, but I think I would have preferred to get Chandler back in that spot. Who else has played well? Quickly has been hurt, but I think Quickly might be the answer at point guard. That kid is good. With the Kentucky connection here, I mean, they've got Randall, they've got who else is from there? Knox, they've got Quickly, they got Noel, and there's another guy I'm probably missing. That all from but they have comfortable seats. Not sure, Bill. These guys are all from the Kentucky, and they hired Kenny Payne from Kentucky to kind of be the assistant head coach, which has probably been a big factor in this whole turnaround as well. Now, Toppin and Quickly have been hurt. They need to stay healthy so they can progress. As these guys get better and Julius Randle continues to be the player that he's been, they'll be able to lure some better players to the Garden. I hope. I mean, to me, one of the bigger factors in free agents not coming to the Knicks has been James Dolan as much as the lack of talent here. So, I mean, look is it perfect? No. Peyton's got to play more consistent at point guard. He's played okay, up and down. Reggie Bullock is given some consistent minutes, I think. Kevin Knox, I don't know if he's ever going to turn it around here. Dennis Smith is on his way out. Noel, I thought, was going to contribute more up front. Other than that, we're talking about guys just filling out the roster. But look at Thibodeau has got this team playing hard every night. That's a big deal. It sounds like something very easy to do, but it hasn't happened here in years. Oh, Madison Square Garden. Of course I've been there. Love the Garden. Problem is I can't get there. I can get there from here. As Billy says, I can just jump on the Rensselaer train to the Garden. Easy peasy. Yes, but I can't. They won't let me in the building, Bill, unless they want me to play, and I don't think that's the case. Anyway, Tom Thibodeau. Team plays hard every night. Every night. They're playing defense. Team hasn't played defense in God knows when. Thibodeau's got them playing hard, playing defense, and they're in most games. They've had a couple stinkers, but it's a young team. They need to keep progressing. They need Barrett to get more consistent and grow. They need Toppin to be healthy. one little stick in the mud that might come up is the fact that Randall and Toppin play the same position. So when Toppin gets healthy, it's going to be a little interesting how they start to allocate minutes up front. But I think Randall might be able to, they may be able to play a little bigger. Even though the NBA is gone small, they might be able to play bigger because of Randall's ability to, play a smaller game. Or who knows? Maybe they move Toppin to center. It's possible. Sorry about that, guys. That probably didn't sound good. Who knows? Anyway, I think the Knicks are on they're turning a corner. They're fun to watch. Right now, are they going to make the playoffs? I don't know. 500 would be great right now. 500 would be awesome. Competitive, fun basketball is what I want to see now, and I've enjoyed it. Last 2 years, I didn't watch entire Knick games 10 times. Right now, they almost can't miss basketball. They're enjoyable. They're fun to watch. I like to watch teams that play some defense. And Thibodeau has them playing a fun brand of basketball right now. They're moving the ball. Randall has just been phenomenal. Their power forward is averaging 7.5 assists a game. It's awesome. When they get a real point guard playing well, and I think quickly could be the guy. He was a shooting guard in college mostly, but I think he could be the guy. So, again, we'll be getting more into this stuff as we go forward. Football's winding down, unfortunately, guys. We've had a great run of Sundays and concentrating almost exclusively on college and pro football. But we've only got a week of, a game of college left. So we'll be focusing on the playoffs in football. We'll be focusing on baseball, heading to spring training. We'll be focusing on the NBA, and I want to get into college basketball. So my question to the groups that allow these shows to be posted and have really, as I said, driven viewership tremendously. Please, if the admins have any issues with the fact that we have so much different content and it doesn't apply to your group, please let me know. And we'll talk about it. I've talked a couple times about, doing another show or two, but it's very hard. Again, I have a real job and I love doing this. And I'm going to keep doing this because I have fun. I hope you guys are having fun. And we're going to keep doing it. And guys, check out Northeast Streaming Sports. Check out the Facebook page. I joined along there to get some more exposure. I appear on the Mac and Jack show, which Mac really this is his brainchild, is to put all these shows in one place. So we can share exposure and share each other's followers and get in front of each other's followers. I think there's, I don't know where we left off. I want to say there's 13 shows now that are part of this. Check out some of the other shows. There's everything, guys, from hockey to there's a wrestling show. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll probably have a soccer show. Oh, rugby. I think you mean rugby, right, Bill? There's no rugbies over there. But I wouldn't doubt there's just soccer. I'm not a soccer fan. I'm not a rugby fan, but I wouldn't doubt that there'll be shows for all of that over there. Nessip, look up in the upper, I think it's the upper right-hand corner, Northeast Streaming Sports. Look it up on Facebook. Follow the page. You'll get notified of all those shows that come out. You can follow the shows individually if you like them, as you have mine. And you know what? We'll grow together. So I'm enjoying that relationship. We'll see what happens. More exposure, more fun. Maybe someday somebody wants to pay us to do this. Who knows? Wouldn't that be awesome? I'd love to get paid to do this. But I've been doing it too long today, guys. I want to say, oh, wait. Let's play one more thing here. I'll take a chance of getting cut off one more time. Enjoy your football Sunday. Play a little NFL Films music. Another great day of wild card football today. Enjoy it. Stay safe. Have a couple of adult beverages if you want while you're watching the games. I like the Ravens. I like the Saints. I like the Steelers. You guys in the TGI Sports Talk. Enough of that. You guys in the TGIF Sports Talk pool. I'll be sending you an update tomorrow morning. Congratulations on your early lead, Rick. I hope you can hold on to it. Keith is in trouble with Seattle in the Super Bowl. So is Bill Pulver. Guys, Keith Engel, TGI Sports Talk. Tune in Friday. I've got Eric Soderholm, former Major League third baseman with the Twins, the White Sox, the Yankees. We're going to have a great conversation with Eric. See you next week.